Hey, today I'm going to help you sound more like a native English speaker. In order to do that, you must have natural English conversations. So today I'm going to show you 2 real English conversations between 2 native English speakers. I'm going to break down the conversations, explain the words and expressions that were used, and help you finally have a real English conversation like a native English speaker. Are you ready? Well then, I'm teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. All right, so the first English conversation that we're going to look at was actually a conversation I had with my good friend Chanel. Now, we started off the conversation like this. I said, Chanel, how is communication changing between people? Chanel responded, so first off, communication is not happening at all. Now, let me pause really quickly because maybe you've never heard this expression, first off. Maybe it's not in one of your English books. So let me explain. In English, we use this a lot when we are first starting a conversation and we have multiple ideas or opinions. So really quickly, let me show you the meaning of this expression, first off. You see, this meaning is used for introducing the first of a series of things that you are going to say. So my friend Chanel, after I asked her a question, she said, oh, Tiff, first off, hey, I'm about to tell you my main point. This is the first in a series of things that I'd like to say. In English, we say first off. One more time after me for pronunciation practice. First off. Excellent. All right, now let's look at this example sentence. Here we go. First off, I want to tell you how much I like your work. Makes sense. Hey, the first thing. First, hey, to start, I'd like to say ... So in English conversations, we use this very often. My friend said, first off, and then she continued her statement. So again, we have first off in our conversation. Now our conversation continued. I, listening to Chanel, responded, right? But I want to give you this tip really quickly. You see, she started off by saying first off, and it let me know that even though she had other points, this was her strongest point or opinion. When you put emphasis on a specific point, it lets the other person know that they need to listen more intently. This shows that you have thought about your response and it reveals your English fluency. So again, this is why this expression is so important. When you let someone know, hey, I have quite a few ideas in my head, but this first one, it's important. They are ready to listen to you even more. So we continued our conversation and I said, at all? Now look again at what Chanel said. She said, so first off, communication is not happening at all. This is her opinion. And I asked her a question. I said, at all? Now this is what happens when you're having a conversation. You know, sometimes you don't want to ask someone to repeat themselves, right? You feel a little shy, a little embarrassed because you're an English learner. But look, during this conversation, I'm a native English speaker. My friend is a native English speaker. And I asked her to clarify, at all? So in English, when we do this during a conversation, when we repeat what someone has just said, it means that it's almost unbelievable. For example, let's say you and me. That's right, you and me. We are going to go out to eat, right? And I say, hey, what do you want to eat? And you say, teacher Tiffany, I really love Indian food. And I say, Indian food? Now, I asked you a question. I repeated what you said because it was almost unbelievable. Why? As you know, Indian food is my favorite food. So now I'm shocked that you also like Indian food. So again, you can do the same thing. During an English conversation, don't be shy to ask someone to repeat themselves. And if they say something that is shocking or almost unbelievable, all you have to do is repeat what they said with a question mark, like I did here. So after I said at all, Chanel responded, nope. In my opinion, it really doesn't happen. She doesn't think communication really happens well between people nowadays. Then I said, wow, can you dive into that idea a little bit more? Now, maybe this is an expression you haven't heard before. Dive into. I'm basically asking Chanel to give me some more details, to explain her idea or her opinion a little bit more. And let me give you this tip. Why I asked her, right? Dive into your point a little bit more. This lets Chanel know that I was curious about what she said. Remember that English fluency is not just about speaking. Listening is also an important skill to master in order to be a fluent English speaker. So, when there is something that catches your attention, ask the person to explain it more. It's totally okay to ask the person to explain a little bit more. You want to understand their point, all right? So I said, can you dive into that a little bit more? So that's exactly what she did. She dove into it. And Chanel said, you know, Tiff, usually we don't have time, so we just ask people to text us the information. We say, email me the information, or I'll see it online somewhere. For example, oh, Tiffani went to Korea. I found that out on Facebook. We didn't talk about you going to Korea. So yes, I have definitely seen the shift in the way we communicate. There's not as much actual back and forth face-to-face conversation. Now, I want to show you something. Before I explain those expressions, did you notice what happened when Chanel responded? Remember in our previous lesson, if you haven't watched it, watch the previous YouTube lesson. I taught the simple rule of threes. In Chanel's response, she naturally started to give a real life example. This is why looking at real English conversations will help you speak English with more fluency. Look at how she responded. Chanel immediately said, we email information, we text people, and sometimes we see things online. 3 examples. And then she immediately went into a situation. Tiffani went to Korea. I saw that on Facebook. That was a real example. So again, with English fluency, you have to add things from real life. And that's exactly what happened in this real English conversation. Now, there were a few things that Chanel said at the end that I want to explain to you. You see at the end, she said shift and back and forth. So let me explain to you what these 2 expressions actually mean. We already had first off, I explained that one to you. Let's look at shift. Now, shift after me, pronunciation, shift. Excellent. Last time, shift. Very good. Now, this just means referring to an idea, an opinion, or things of that nature. It means to change. There was a shift in the opinion. There was a shift in something. So we say a change, but she used the word shift. Now, I want to show you an example sentence using this word. Here we go. Society's attitudes toward women have shifted enormously over the last century. I'm going to say it one more time. Society's attitudes toward women have shifted enormously over the last century. I could change the word shifted and put the word change. Women have changed enormously over the last century. So you see, similar meaning to the word change, but it's another very useful word to use in a real English conversation. Now, another thing that she said that was also very useful, she said back and forth, back and forth. Now remember, I taught you in a previous lesson about the conversation. English conversations are kind of like a tennis match. I hit the ball to you. You receive it, you send it back. We go back and forth, back and forth. That represents 2 fluent English speakers. So back and forth is actually an argument or discussion in which two or more people alternate in sharing their perspectives. I said, Chanel, what do you think? She gave me her opinion. I said, wow, can you dive into that a little bit deeper? We went back and forth. This is back and forth, and it happens all the time in English conversations. Now, let me show you an example sentence that you can use this expression in. They're having a real back and forth up there. Can you hear them yelling? Once again, they're having a real back and forth up there. Can you hear them yelling? Again, I'm just saying, hey, they're upstairs having a heated discussion or an argument. They're going back and forth. Kind of makes sense, right? Again, think about tennis. Now, this is something that you must practice in order to be more fluent in English. And this brings us to our sponsor for today. You all know how much I love CAMBLY. We have worked together many times. And I love CAMBLY because their main job, their main desire is to help you, the English learner, master your English skills. They want you to speak English like a native English speaker too. So CAMBLY is offering you, that's right, you, a free 10-minute lesson. You need to practice this back and forth so that you can have a really good English conversation. And they want to give you a free 10-minute lesson. Or if you really want to practice and really be serious, you can get 40% off of any of their 12-month plans. Now, the amazing thing about CAMBLY is all of your lessons, when you study with a tutor, they are recorded. Their tutors are available 24/7, so it doesn't matter where you live. After you watch my lessons, you can go with your tutor and practice any time of the day. And they offer one-on-one private lessons. Now, their tutors, this is amazing. They don't just have tutors in America. They have tutors in America, the UK, Canada, Australia, and you can study with whichever tutor you desire. Now, the link is in the description. Again, CAMBLY, thank you so much for sponsoring this video, for working together so that we can help our English learners master the English language. So again, everyone, hit the link in the description, get your free 10-minute lesson so that you can practice what I am teaching you. Thank you so much, CAMBLY. All right, guys, so again, I want you to practice this back and forth so that you can master it and speak English like a native English speaker. Now, let's go to the next conversation. Again, this conversation, same topic, my friend Chanel and I, we're talking about communication, and I'm breaking it down so that you can see just how native English speakers have real conversations. So, our dialogue continued. Conversation number 2. Now, this time, I also started the conversation, and I asked her, I said, Chanel, what are your thoughts on talking to strangers? Now, just very quickly to make sure you know what a stranger is. A stranger is someone you don't know, someone on the street, someone you've never met before. We say stranger in English. So I asked her, what are your thoughts on talking to strangers? Chanel responded, so I don't really think it's good to talk to strangers. That's her opinion. Now, I know some of the older people, like those in their late 60s or early 70s, they will talk to any and everybody. She's giving an example. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be smoking on the side of the street. They'll stop you and talk to you. What just happened? Remember, I taught you last week. In a natural English conversation, when you're giving a fluent English response, you must either give details, reasons, or examples. And Chanel naturally went right into an example. She said, yeah, I don't think it's okay to talk to strangers. However, people in their 60s or 70s, they'll talk to anybody. She talked about, hey, if you're smoking on the street, they'll stop you and talk to you. Think you can visualize what she's saying. Again, supporting her opinion, right? So again, how did I respond to her idea? Now you notice though, really quickly, she said any and everybody. I want to explain that to you because this is something you won't see in an English book. Any and everybody, but it's something that native English speakers use when we're having natural and real English conversations. So any and everybody, here we go. This is kind of a slang term or an informal expression, and it emphasizes that all types of people are included, not excluding anyone. Hey, any and everybody can come here. For example, any and everybody can study using my English lessons. I hope you guys love them, right? Any and everybody. And stay till the end for story time, because I'm going to tell you about one of my friends and how any and everybody connects to my friend. So stay tuned, all right? So let me show you an example sentence. Here we go. My friend talks to any and everybody. This is a true statement. I have a friend that will talk to any and everybody. Means she will talk to anyone. All right. So in English, after me, we say any and everybody. Excellent. Last time, any and everybody. Good job. Good job. All right. So let's keep going with the conversation. Again, Chanel told me that, hey, you know, older people will talk to any and everybody. So how did I respond? I said, well, let me give you this English tip real quick. Notice how Chanel immediately went into a real example. I mentioned that. This is something, again, that happens in natural English conversations. You make your point and then immediately support it with either an example, reason, or detail. I just wanted to emphasize that point one more time. All right, here we go, guys. Come on. All right, so we have this one right here. How did I respond? Wow, that is so true. They talk to you and you know that you have no other choice but to answer out of respect. What happened? This back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. What Chanel said, I understood it. I agreed with it. Ah, that's so true. And I responded. My response was related to what she said. So how did Chanel respond after I said that? Then Chanel said, yep. And that's why they do it. But to go back to your question, as for me and my house, or for me and my family, we do not talk to strangers because there are some crazy people in this world. How about you? You see, now she sent the tennis ball back to my court. She gave her opinion, then she summarized. You noticed how at the end, she said her opinion once again. At the beginning, she said, I don't think it's good to talk to strangers. Even though old people do it, my household, we won't do it. So it's always good when you're giving an answer to sandwich it. Your opinion, support, and then your opinion again. This is something that happened naturally in this conversation. Then she said, Tiff, how about you? So how did I respond after she put the ball in my court? I said, okay, I see exactly where you are coming from. Hold on, teacher. What does that mean? I see exactly where you are coming from. Let me explain. Don't worry. It's not as hard as it seems. Let me explain. So see where you're coming from, to see where someone is coming from. It just means that you understand why that person has a particular opinion. Often, although you do not have that opinion, for example, I am a vegetarian. I love food, but I don't eat meat. And I also am basically a vegan. I don't eat cheese. Now, I have friends who love meat, and that's okay. So they'll tell me, Tiffani, woohoo, girl, this steak is amazing. And they'll tell me all the seasonings that were put in the steak and all the flavors. I don't eat meat, but I can say, hey, I see where you're coming from. I know it's probably delicious. It's not for me, but I can see where you're coming from. I see that you have that particular opinion, and I understand. It may not be my opinion, but I see where you're coming from. Kind of makes sense, right? All right, so let me show you an example sentence. Here we go. Here's an example sentence. I would have taken the dog to the vet, but I could see where they were coming from. So maybe somebody told this individual, don't take the dog to the vet. It's not that serious. All you have to do is give your dog this medicine and he'll be fine. So I would have taken the dog, but I could see where they were coming from. I didn't agree totally, but I could see, I could understand. This is a very, very commonly used English expression, even in natural English conversations. So not just in writing, in natural English conversations. So once again, let's look and see what Chanel said, what I said, because I used it one more time. Here we go. So again, I said, okay, I see exactly where you are coming from. So my opinion is a bit split. It means it has two sides. On one hand, I am aware of the fact that talking to strangers can be dangerous because of the world that we live in. But on the other hand, people are losing communication skills due to improving technology. Now, wait a minute. I said something on one hand. Why did I say on one hand? Woo! Stay with me. How many hands do you have? You have two hands, right? You have a left and a right hand. You may be watching it and it's flipped for you, but my left and my right hand. Two different hands, right? So I can say on one hand, one opinion, ... But on the other hand, second opinion, ... Visuals kind of help you understand, but let me show you exactly how to understand this expression. On one hand, it's used to introduce a statement that is followed by another contrasting or opposite statement, which is typically introduced with on the other hand. So on one hand, ... But on the other hand, ... Make sense? All right, let me show you an example sentence really quickly. Here's the example sentence right here. On one hand, I really ought to support my team. On the other hand, I don't have the time to attend all the games. Two opposing opinions. I should support them. I can't support them because I don't have time. So in English, we say on one hand. Makes sense, right? Again, natural English expression that comes out in real English conversation. So let's go again back to the conversation, right? We have back to the conversation. I wanted to show you that one again. Here we go. So again, continuing. In the past, you could sit down next to a stranger and have a full-on conversation about the weather. That doesn't happen as often now because it's hard to gauge if someone is a good person or a bad person. Now, I want to pause really quickly because I'm giving my opinion, but I use another expression and another word. We used to have full-on conversations, but now we can't gauge if someone is good or bad. Again, I'm giving supports for my answer, for my opinion. But what does full-on actually mean? Here we go. Full-on means it's used to describe things or activities that have all the characteristics of their type or are done in the strongest or most extreme way possible. So I said a full-on conversation. That means we're going deep. We're talking for a long time. It's a really good back and forth. We're going back and forth in this conversation. That's a full-on conversation. And that's what I was saying in the past. Man, we used to have really full-on conversations. Now, let me show you another example sentence using this expression. He wanted to do a full-on documentary, but he wanted it to span over a long time. So he wanted to do everything. He wanted to include everything that's normally in a full documentary. What happened in the beginning, in the middle, and the end of a person's life, or whatever he was actually following for the documentary. We say full on. So for pronunciation, after me, full on. Excellent. All right. So we have full on, and I said a full on conversation. But I said nowadays, it's hard to gauge if a person is good or bad. What does the word gauge mean? It means to estimate or determine the magnitude, amount, or volume of something. It means to make a judgment about something, usually people's feelings. Watch. Can you gauge if I'm upset or happy? You can say, it's a little hard to gauge what teacher Tiffani is feeling, but I think she's not happy right now. Now, I was just acting. You know that I'm happy all the time. All right, so we say gauge in English. Let me give you an example sentence. Here we go. Here's the example. It's hard to gauge what he is really thinking. It's hard to determine what he is really thinking. Makes sense, right? All right, good. So let's go back to my opinion. Again, I said, that doesn't happen as often now, these conversations, because it's hard to gauge if someone is a good person or a bad person. People are becoming much more isolated or to themselves. So for that reason alone, I think it's okay to talk to strangers in certain situations. So again, we had this great back and forth. She gave her opinion, then she asked me, hey, Tiff, how about you? I gave my opinion and I supported it, right? And then at the very end, I restated my opinion. So there are so many things in this lesson that I want you to practice and to review. Remember, we learned lots of words and expressions, but I want you to remember, always support your answers. Always go back and forth. And when you start with your opinion, give supports and then end with your opinion once again. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Real English Conversations. I hope it helps you master English conversations and finally start sounding like a native English speaker and speaking English fluently. Once again, I want to thank CAMBLY for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to get your free 10-minute lesson. The link is right in the description. I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, but as always, remember to speak English. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. So remember during the lesson, I taught you all the expression any and everybody. And I promised you that during story time, I would tell you about one of my friends and how any and everybody relates to her. So when I was in South Korea, this was during my last 2 years in South Korea, maybe last 2 or 3 years in South Korea, one of my closest friends from college, she also came to Korea and she was an English teacher, a missionary English teacher. So my friend, myself, and three other friends, and then one of their boyfriends. So there were 2 couples and then my best friend and I. So we all decided to go on a vacation together. On vacation together, we wanted to, I'll get some water. We wanted to rent an RV. So an RV is kind of like a mobile home, like a home on wheels. It's a vehicle that has a bathroom, a shower, a kitchen, everything inside, bedrooms and everything. So we all decided to go to the beach, and the beach actually had mobile homes right at the beach. So we were so excited, right? We've all been working hard and we were ready to go on this trip. So we all traveled the 3 hours by train to get to the beach. We got there, we were planning to be there for about 4 days, 3 nights and 4 days. So we got to the mobile home. Now you have 6 adults, right? In this small area. We were all very close. So we weren't worried about having any, arguments or anything. We were all very close. So, and my best friend and I have been friends since college, so no one was worried. So one of the couples, they actually were married. So we said, hey, you guys can have the large room. You guys are married. The other couple, they were just dating. So they bunked in the same room with myself and my best friend, with me and my best friend. So everything was going well. We were having a good time. The food was good. My best friend likes to cook. I like to cook. My other friend likes to cook. So it was great. We'd watch movies together, and it was really a time for us all to bond. We had a wonderful time. One night, late at night, we decided to go out on the beach, and we had fireworks. I mean, it was great. Even now thinking about it, I'm realizing how much fun we had. So on the day, I think the day before we left, we had to leave the next morning, we decided, hey, let's just chill on the beach this afternoon for like 2 or 3 hours. Just chill, relax, talk, have some snacks. All of us said, okay, that's cool. But my best friend from college, she is a very outgoing person. She's the the epitome of an extrovert. If you look in the dictionary, you'll see her picture. She's really an extrovert. She loves people. Like, you all would love her. So we get to the beach, you know, just maybe about a 2-minute walk from our mobile home. And we're setting out our blankets and everything. And my best friend then, she then asked our other friend's boyfriend, she said, "Don't you want to go do something?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And she asked us, "Guys, don't you want to do something?" And we said, "Well, we are doing something. We're going to sit on the beach and just talk and bond and have a good time." She said, "No, but I don't want to just sit on the beach. Like, we're on vacation. I want to do something." So we said, "Hey, we just want to sit on the beach." Now, I know her very well, and I knew what she was asking. She did not just want to sit on the beach because she was going to be bored. So she said, "I'm gone." And I said, "Okay." And my other friends looked at me. They said, "Tiff," I said, "She's fine. She's fine. She just wants to go explore." So we sat on the beach for like 2 or 3 hours, and she was gone for that entire time. So right when we were about to go back to the mobile home, we see her walking toward us, and she has this big smile on her face. And she said, "Oh my goodness, guys, I went over there. I went around the beach and down there, and there were so many people, and I was just hanging out with them, and we were talking, laughing, and joking, and apparently they were having some party outside, just a beach party. And I could tell by the look on her face that she had the best time of her life." So my other friend looked at me and said, "Tiff, she really had the best time of her life." I said, "Listen, she can talk to any and everybody. So I know that she was not shy and that she had an awesome time." She said, "Well, you're right, Tiff." My friend had never seen my other friend in that situation where she just wanted to go and be around people. So we had a great time. It was interesting when she left us, when we were all bonding. But I said, listen, this is the beauty of different personalities. Some people just like to stay with the group, and some people like to be with any and everybody. So maybe that's what you are like. Maybe that's your personality. You just want to explore and meet new people. That's cool. Or maybe you're like us. You just want to relax, spend time with your close friends. Both are A-okay. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you again for watching this lesson. Remember to practice. Remember, you can speak English, and I am your teacher to help you along the way. I'll see you next time.